Have you ever felt like a seed blown adrift, yearning for fertile soil but lost in a whirlwind of uncertainty? Like the adage says, the axe forgets, but the tree always remembers. We all have a story waiting to be told, a truth aching to be unearthed. Lean closer, for this isn't just a tale from Africa, but a reflection of yearning that beats within us all. A tale that reminds us that sometimes getting lost is the only way to find your way back home. You know, a stream can only flow as high as where it started, right? In a village throbbing with the soul-stirring pulse of goombay drums and the earthy perfume of rain-kissed soil, lived a young man named Kael. But Kael's spirit was a restless bird, caged by what he perceived as the monotony of tradition. He saw the ancient tales as dusty relics, the wisdom of the elders as whispers lost in the wind. His heart yearned for a world beyond the towering trees, a world where he believed freedom bloomed untamed. One day, driven by a hunger he couldn't name, Kael ventured beyond the familiar boundaries of his village, chasing a phantom horizon shimmering in the distance. With each step, the comforting rhythm of his home faded, replaced by an unnerving silence that coiled around him like a venomous snake. The sun, once a guiding friend, mocked him from a vast, indifferent sky. He was lost. He who does not travel thinks his mother is the only cook. Is that true? Kael was about to learn the bitter truth of that saying. Days blurred together in a scary mix of constant hunger and creeping fear. The promised land he'd craved was not a haven of liberation, but a desolate wilderness that refused to acknowledge his existence. He was a stranger in his own skin, a ghost haunting his own land. Exhausted and broken, his spirit as parched as the cracked earth beneath his feet, he collapsed near a trickling stream. The embodiment of the adage, when spider webs unite, they can tie up a lion. He was about to be saved by the unexpected. When Kael awoke, eyes filled with a gentle warmth were gazing down at him. They belonged to Tamara, a beautiful young woman from a small, secluded community of artisans, people who lived and breathed the rhythm of creation, weaving history into vibrant fabrics and carving legends, into the very soul of wood. Tamara didn't bombard him with questions about his origins or the folly of his journey. She simply offered him cool water and a piece of roasted yam, a silent gesture of humanity that spoke volumes. Kael stayed with Tamara's people. He was a shadow at first, humbled by the harsh lesson the wilderness had taught him. He watched them work, their hands dancing with a purpose he had never comprehended. Children and adults learned from the elders every aspect of their traditions, cultures, and shared values, with respect for strangers. He observed them gathering at dusk, not for empty rituals, but to share stories beneath the watchful gaze of the stars. Old Marie, the wise storyteller with eyes that sparkled with mischief, began to share her tales, carrying the weight of generations. And for the first time, Kael truly listened. He heard tales of the cunning spider, of brave warriors who faced impossible odds, and of the sacred, unbreakable bond between the people and the land. These weren't the dull lectures he remembered, but epic sagas and lessons in courage, of resilience, and the power of community, all woven with threads of laughter and suspense. Adages are the daughters of daily experience, and these stories were the very essence of life. Kael began to see that these stories weren't chains, but anchors. They were a map, guiding him to understand the world and his place within its intricate tapestry. Tamara, witnessing the transformation in his eyes, would sit with him by the crackling fire. She didn't preach about tradition or burden him with duty. Instead, she shared her own dreams, her love for the patterns in a woven cloth, the meaning behind each color, each knot. She showed him that their heritage wasn't a static museum piece, but a living, breathing entity that evolved with every hand that practiced it. It takes a community to raise a child, and Tamara was helping to raise the man within Kael. Tamara's passion was infectious. In her, Kael saw not a mere keeper of the old ways, but a visionary creator of the new. He found himself falling in love, not just with Tamara, but with the world he had once so callously scorned. Kael began to learn, to participate. His hands, once idle, now found joy in carving wood. His voice, once dismissive, now joined in the chorus of ancient songs. One evening, old Marie fell gravely ill. The village fell silent. The communal fire seemed to burn less brightly without her voice. Tamara turned to Kael, her eyes filled with a mixture of hope and desperation. "They need a story," she pleaded. "Your story." With his heart drumming a frantic rhythm against his ribs, Kael stood before the community. He didn't recite an ancient tale. He told them about a boy who got lost because he arrogantly believed he knew better than his ancestors. He spoke of his pride, his bone-chilling fear in the wilderness, and the unexpected kindness that had saved him. Kael spoke of discovering that the freedom he sought wasn't in running away from his roots, but in embracing them. As he spoke, he saw understanding blossom in their eyes. He saw his own journey reflected in the ancient tales of heroes who had to leave home to find their true purpose. In that moment, he wasn't just telling a story. He was becoming part of one. He understood that this is our collective human experience. Our stories, whether they originate from Africa, Asia, Europe, or the Americas, are what shape us. They are the threads that weave us together, connecting us to our past and guide us into future. With Tamara by his side, her presence a constant source of strength, Kael knew it was time to return home. The journey back was different. The path seemed familiar, illuminated by the wisdom he now carried within his heart. As he got closer to his village, he heard it, the distant, steady beat of drums echoing through the air. It was no longer an annoying noise. It was a life-giving heartbeat, a resounding welcome. When Kael walked into the village, his people rushed to greet him, their faces alight with joy. There were tears and shouts of relief. They didn't see a prodigal son returning in shame. They saw a man who had journeyed, suffered, and returned with a newfound light in his eyes. He had left a boy, but he returned a storyteller, a leader, a man who understood the profound weight and undeniable beauty of his heritage. Kael had found love where he least expected it, with Tamara. He had found himself within the very traditions he had once tried so desperately to escape. As the saying goes, no matter how long the night, the day is sure to come. Kael's day had finally dawned. His story serves as a potent reminder as we look towards the future. We have a goal, a drive for the new year, to unearth and share these stories from every corner of the world, a rhythm of our shared humanity. Kael's journey teaches us that our culture, our traditions, are not a cage. They are a launching pad that propels us forward. They provide us with the strength and wisdom to navigate the wilderness of life. They are the unwavering beacon that always calls us home. Let's go together. If we want to go far, we can't rush, right? Our ancestors always remind us. With our shared stories, we can learn from each other and build a future rooted in understanding and respect. What story from your culture that has profoundly shaped you? Share it with us in the comments below. Let's keep the drum of storytelling beating together and create a symphony of human experience. Thanks for reaching this far, and if this story touched you, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales that connect us all.